Hello, welcome back to my channel, Stitch It with Rachel. My name is Rachel, and this is Knitting Podcast episode number 11. It's been a little while since I've done a podcast, probably about 2 months now. Life has been busy, yada yada. Yeah, we're all in it. And I'm really excited to talk to you guys about what I have today. It's not a lot, actually, considering the amount of time that's gone by, but I have two big finished projects I'm really excited to talk to you about. So yeah, we're gonna jump right into it. So please grab a cup of something cozy, grab something to stitch on, and let's get into it. Starting off strong with what I'm wearing. This is the Ariundle sweater by Rebecca Clow, or the Crayabea. This is a Rebecca household. We are huge fans of her here. And I was able to test knit this pattern. This is my first test knit, and it was so much fun. It was an absolute blast. I would definitely test knit for the Crayabea again in the future. It was run really smoothly. She was very attentive, like as a designer, like with feedback and questions and stuff in like the group chat, and it was just a wonderful experience. I had a great time. Also, like I got this incredible freaking sweater out of it. There's this detail on the cuff too. Also, I'm holding the microphone because I've had some comments about not having great sound quality, so I'm going to try to keep it at about the same distance. I apologize if at points I tend to talk with my hands. It might move, or eventually I might try to clip it to my sweater so I can have both my hands. I don't know. We're working with it. Anyways, love this sweater. This is a DK weight pattern. It is out now, by the way. It's been out for, I think, probably about 2 weeks now. And could not recommend it enough. I used Trilogy Yarn Shanico DK. The yarn was gifted. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie is the owner of Trilogy Yarns, who is also my local yarn store owner. And she was trying out a new base to bring into the Trilogy Yarn lineup and asked me if I would test it out and kind of give some feedback and my thoughts on if she should like bring it on officially as a base for Trilogy Yarns. So I, of course, said yes. And I've been wanting to try Shanico wool. So I was really excited. This is very soft. I am sensitive to wool. I'm sensitive to like itch factor. Even something that's technically very soft, I just can't handle it in some places. Like I don't know that I could ever use Let Lopey. You know what I mean? Like it just probably, unless it was like an outerwear jacket and I always wear a turtleneck underneath or something. So I'm sensitive. I am wearing this next to skin with just a bra underneath. This is touching my skin everywhere and I have zero issues. So that's really nice. Shanico wool, so it's fully traceable here in the US. For me, it's locally dyed by someone I want to, support. And so that's really exciting. And I just had a blast. The yarn is a 3, I believe it's 3-ply, it might be 4. I think it's 3. High twist, incredible stitch definition. I'm going to try to get a little bit closer. This will be a little awkward, but hopefully you guys can see like the crispiness in the stitch definition here. Stunning. We love. Really pleased with how this knit up. It's pilling just a little bit in the like underarm on the side of my boob area. This is a very soft like merino cross type of wool. It's gonna pill a little bit. I've worn it probably 3 or 4 times, and so I feel like it's a very acceptable, normal amount of pilling in a high friction area. I'm really not worried about it. And I think too, I'll report back, but I feel like this is the kind of wool where it might pill a little bit more initially, but then after that initial like pilling, it like stops or like decreases significantly. I have no scientific proof for this yet. It's just the feeling I get from it. Yeah, I did make some adjustments to the pattern, which will all be in my Ravelry page. I will link down below. I used the needle size recommended and all that, but I significantly lengthened the body. I find I almost always have to do this with Rebecca's patterns. She generally, I think, prefers a cropped fit and also maybe just has a shorter torso. And so for me, I always significantly lengthen. A, I don't like a cropped fit, and B, I have a long torso as well. So I think, I don't remember, but I think in the pattern it has you stop knitting the body at 12 inches and then do the ribbing, I think about there-ish. And for me, I knit the body 15 inches and then did, I think, 3 inches of ribbing. So significantly longer. I'll put pictures in. It's going to be way too awkward for me to try to stand up here. So this is the fit that I prefer. And that was also really nice. You know, Rebecca didn't have issues with modifications like that to the pattern. And I did a split hem as well. Again, I'm just a little bit wider at the hips, and I find it easier to do a split hem. I get a better fit. It just looks better. Sorry if you get a little background noise. My cat has decided to play with his catnip mouse, so hopefully with the microphone it won't pick up too much chaos in the background. All the details will be in my Ravelry page. I did no modifications in the yoke besides switching out some increase, just the type of increase, because some of the increases I did kind of left holes or gaps, which I just didn't want. So I played around, ripped back a couple of times. And then I also modified the sleeve width. My upper biceps are just like a little bit bigger, I feel like, in proportion to the rest of my body. So if it fits my body well, it can frequently be too tight on my arms. Sir, Mom's trying to film a podcast episode. You guys want to meet the demon? I call him Wee Demon. Come here, stink butt. He evaded my capture. You guys will see him at some point. I've totally lost my train of thought. Amazing. Loved it. Recommend it. Go get yourself the pattern. The coupon code is now gone because it's no longer the initial weekend, but like, I think Rebecca's patterns run for $8 to $10 US. I don't remember. It's British pounds. I don't remember the calculation. Well worth it. Yeah. So that's my first finished object, which I think might have been cast on in the last episode. Maybe. Yeah. Absolutely loving it. My second finished object, which I'm so excited about. Sorry about that, guys. A little froggy, a little cough going on. I am going to try to clip this so I have two hands to talk about this next sweater with. Hopefully this works. So my next one is my Affric. Guys, she's freaking stunning. She's incredible. I'm absolutely obsessed. So I cast this on the day the pattern came out because I already had the yarn because Rebecca had shared the yardage requirements when the Knitting for Olive Gaza fundraiser was going on. And I chose to work with Harrisville Designs Highland, which is a worsted weight woolen spun yarn. I think, do I have any? I think I moved it to my scrap bin already. The main blue color is Loden Blue, and then this is just either white or cream. I don't remember. I think it was white. And then the burnt orange is Topaz, and then the turquoise is Peacock. So yeah, I cast this on the day it came out because I already had the yarn, and then I got accepted into the test knit for Craybea. So this got set aside. I was maybe halfway through the yoke. Like, I think I'd done the first colorwork portion, and that was it. So this is as far as I'd gotten. And then as soon as this was off the needles, I was like, I want to get back to this. My poor front porch sweater is just languishing in whipland. We'll talk about her later. And so I knit the entire body from here, and I did an extra, as per usual with her patterns for my body, an extra repeat for length. I knit the entire body and the ribbing in a week, less than a week actually. I was just like zooming right along. I mean, this is worsted weight yarn. It's also woolen spun. And I knit it on, I think I actually knit it on 4.5 millimeter needles instead of 5. Maybe it was 5. I don't remember. And it should hopefully be in my Ravelry notes. But yeah, I knit the entire body in a week. And then I didn't touch it for like 2 because I just did not want to knit the sleeves, which is so silly. Like, they're faster than the body. Like, why would you not want to? I don't know. So I was weird and I didn't want to work on it. And so I worked on some spinning projects instead. And finally came back to it. And then I knit both sleeves in like a few days. Like, this sweater knits up so quickly, and that's coming as a more plus size person, right? So I knit, I believe, size 7, and this knit up so fast. So especially if you're a smaller bodied person, like, you want a quick knit that's also super enjoyable, super beautiful, and satisfying. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I would also strongly recommend this as a beginner colorwork pattern. It's raglan shaping, and I feel like that's very easy to understand, even with the colorwork. I don't love the raglan and the colorwork, like it looks a little messy, even though I followed the chart, like it doesn't fully match up because of like stitch counts and stuff. So that bothers me just a tiny bit, but like not really. And when you look at it as a whole from afar, like it's just fine. I'm just being a little silly about it. Yeah, would recommend this. You get like a colorwork chart, and then you get like X amount of rows, depending on what size you're knitting, of just stockinette. So you get this nice little break after your colorwork section, and then you have a different colorwork chart. And so that's really, really fun and engaging. And the colorwork charts, there's no need to catch any floats. In this diamondy one down here, I think the biggest float was in between these stitches here up top, and I think it was like 5. And I didn't catch. I just made sure my stitches were nice and loose. This hasn't been blocked yet. I still have to weave in all my ends, but I'm done with the knitting, so I'm counting it as an FO. I also did a split hem on this. Nothing special. I just, split it in half, knit back and forth. I slipped the stitches to try to make like a neater edge. I'm hoping that it kind of smooths out a little with blocking. And I did do, you might be able to notice, in the Crabea's pattern, she keeps the same colors for the 2 different charts, like as they are in like order, and I switched mine up. So in this chart, you see that the burnt orange topaz color is predominant, and then you just get that one little stripe of the turquoise in the middle, and then I switched it for this one, and I really, really liked the effect this had, and would definitely, like, if I were to knit this pattern again, which I don't know that I need 2 of these sweaters in my closet, but I would potentially gift knit this sweater. A, it was fast, B, it was fun, C, it's gorgeous. So I really enjoyed that modification. I think it just adds a little something to the pattern, having that. I did modify the sleeves, kind of as per usual, but I did things a little differently. So the way that Crabea has you decrease in the sleeves, has you decrease throughout your color work. I don't want to like give anything away, so I'm not going to say what she has you do, but it would interrupt the color work. And in my brain, I prefer a little bit of a looser, wider sleeve. So I picked up some extra stitches and added a few extra stitches in the raglan once I just got to the stockinette portion. Just making sure that whatever stitch count I had was still divisible by the repeat of this first colorwork chart, because the repeats between these 2 are different. And so I didn't want to interrupt the colorwork chart, and you can see here on my underside that I did not. Hopefully you can see. So what I did is I knit the chart, and then I did decreases in the stockinette portion that would get me to a stitch count that was divisible by the next colorwork chart's number. And then I would knit that chart, and then I would do some decreases, and then knit that chart, and then do some decreases. And I feel like it gave me a really nice shaped sleeve. Like, it did taper it, but it's not severely tapered. It's not still too oversized. The sleeve, I did want it to be a little bit big, so you can tell like the cuff is pretty loose. And this is pre-blocking still, and that's what I was going for. So if you also do not want to interrupt your color work, this would be a potential option maybe for you as well, to just do some decreases in the stockinette portion. I think I decreased 12 stitches-ish. This information is not in my Ravelry yet. I have not updated it since finishing knitting. I will try to do that before I post this video, but I make no promises, guys. I'm sorry. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. So yes, that was the really only major modification I did to the whole pattern. And I'm really, really happy with it. I like that the color work doesn't get interrupted. I feel like it looks a lot cleaner. I don't feel like I have weird bubbling in that like decreases, no decreases, but since color work is naturally a little bit tighter anyways, if the decreases make this section a little tighter, it almost actually helps like even it out a little, I I feel like, if that makes any sense. So really pleased. And I am, when I'm done filming this video, I'm going to weave in all my ends. Do you want to see my ends? Because I've been avoiding them and I cast on a new project instead of weaving them in. So, and yeah, there's so many. I did try the little like braid technique down here at the bottom. And this is such a sticky yarn, like very grippy, woolly. But honestly, I think I could just leave it like that and not actually have to weave them in. But I'm a nervous Nelly. And so what I think I'm going to do is I will weave in just like one stitch to just help like close so it's not, I don't know if I'm saying or explaining that right, but I'm going to like weave it in just like once or twice, just so that it's not completely loose to the stitch it's attached to, if that's making sense. And then with the ends that are left, I think I might braid them or I might just leave them, honestly. Like, again, this yarn is so grippy, woolly, and sticky. I'm not going to have any issues with these coming undone. Like, I'm really not that worried about it. So I am going to weave them in, but it's not going to be that terrible. Also, a moment for the floats. Really happy with my floats on this. Like, they look so clean. I'm so happy. And this is pre-blocking, like, and this is the second ever colorwork sweater I've ever knit. So super pleased, super happy. Just need to weave in the ends on the sleeves because I don't want the bulk of the braid. Sorry, guys. You're still shaking a little. I have a new tripod situation I'm trying out. I don't want the bulk of the braided ends in my sleeves. Like, my sleeves are loose, but I still don't like, if I just wear a t-shirt underneath and I can feel that, that'll bother me. So I will probably fully weave in my ends in the sleeves, then I'll be a little lazier about it in the body. And yeah, one other thing to say about this pattern. So I'm really pleased with how the final object turned out in regards to the yarn, but I did have some struggles with this yarn. So I bought the cones for the main color because it's what I had the most of. Everything else I only needed one skein of white. I lied, I might have needed two because I did extra repeats on. So I think I needed 2 skeins of white and then 1 orange and 1 turquoise. But also being a larger bodied person, it costs more money to knit sweaters. And I saw that on their website they had cones of what looked to be the same exact yarn, and it was a little bit cheaper, like yardage wise. And so I was like, oh well, I'll just buy the cheaper one. Like, I'm perfectly happy. I haven't used a cone before, but I feel like cones are becoming a little more popular. Like, there's some yarn stores that are like cone only yarn stores. There's one in Portland, I think. And certain brands, I think like Woolly Good or something like that, sells their yarn on a cone, so I thought, oh sweet, I'll just buy the cone instead. And I did double check on the website that nothing in the description said that it was a different type of yarn or different prep. Nothing about it was different. Same exact yarn. One was in a skein, one was in a cone. Well, when it arrived, that was not the case. I'm sorry if I keep looking. Like, I'm right in front of my front window, and sometimes people like walk by and my window's open because it's nice out. And then I feel like they're going to look at me and be like, why is that weird lady talking to her camera? Sorry. Tangent. It's not the same. So, and I was frustrated and I reached out to customer service, but the cone yarn was like thinner, like not always plied together as well. And it was very like, you could tell it needed a wash. And whereas the skein yarn was kind of plump, plied well, clean, like there was a distinct difference between the skein and the cone yarn. And so I reached out to customer service thinking that maybe I just got a bad cone. And anyways, the customer service was rude, if I'm being very honest, and really put a sour taste in my mouth. If this hadn't turned out so good, I would probably never purchase from them again. Like, that, maybe I just got someone on a bad day. I don't know, but like, it was really not pleasant experience and was not what I was expecting from like a US mill. Like, I don't know. There's feelings involved. So lo and behold, though, I was told like, oh, well, the cone yarns are meant for weaving, not for knitting. I'm like, okay, well, it didn't say that anywhere on your website, A. And B, there's no difference in the descriptions of your yarns on the cone versus the skein. And as someone who's a plus size knitter, I saw an option to save some money in cost and yardage for my sweater project. So I bought that. And again, nothing on your website says otherwise. So anyways, hopefully maybe they clear up their descriptions. So would not recommend the cone yarn from Harrisville for knitting. It worked out fine. I mean, it's beautiful still, but definitely needs a wash. I think that the blue yarn will bloom hopefully, because again, it's like thinner, and I don't know how to show you. Anyways, so had some issues with that, have some feelings about that. But I still love the finished object. And then after it washes and blocks, I think that might also make me like it more or less after that. I'm assuming a little bit more. Last note about the yarn too is that the amount of vegetable matter I picked out of this, like if I'm purchasing a farm yarn, I expect that. But like this is still a commercial yarn, you know what I mean? And like I picked the most vegetable matter out of the skein yarn, not the cone. And that was really annoying. And oddly enough, it was the white that was the worst. The colored ones didn't have as much. And yeah, so just be prepared if you are going to buy Harrisville Highland. There may be a lot of vegetable matter. Again, like the white had significantly more than the colored ones. Maybe it was a bad batch. I don't know. But it kind of surprised me and was a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. So I believe I'm done yammering on about this. I will hopefully next podcast episode have some good like pictures of me in it to show you once I finish the ends and block it. But am very, very excited to add that to my knitted wardrobe. So those are the only finished objects I have, but they're two massive sweaters. So I feel really proud about that actually. I've started off 2026 with two finished garments, one in January, one in February. And I'm well on my way to working my way through another one. I think if I speed knit, I could potentially finish this other one. Let me bring my whips out for you. I don't actually have a ton, but so this is my newest cast on, and I cast this on the night that I finished knitting my Affric. And it's just a ball of floof really right now. And the cord's a little too small, but this is Drops Flora and Drops Alpaca Silk Fluff, brushed alpaca. This has been sitting in my stash for a year and a half, 2 years probably. I initially bought this to knit the Cargill sweater by the Crayabea. This was towards the beginning of my knitting journey. I didn't know that alpaca fluff was not really replaceable for mohair because it's thicker. And so when I swatched with this for the Cargill, you couldn't see the texture at all. I'm like, well, then what's the point of knitting it? So this got thrown into the cupboard. I went shopping. I bought a different yarn for that. It's finished. I love it. You can see it right there. So this has been kind of languishing in my stash. I didn't know what to do with it. I figured probably just like a plain, simple stockinette sweater, but I just couldn't find one that, I was like maybe like the Monday sweater by Petite Knit, or I don't know. And then I saw the Cinema sweater by Kutafikika. It's not new, came out a couple years ago, but it's intentionally like a very like oversized basic raglan. She used fluffy yarn for one of her samples, and I was like, ooh, I want that very, very loose, oversized, cozy, throw it on in the house, throw it on over jeans to run errands kind of sweater. I feel like technically like any of my sweaters could be that, but like I want one that's very intentionally like genuinely like this is still special. Like even though this is a simple sweater, I absolutely like love the texture. It feels a little bit fancy, but it's very casual and comfortable at the same time. Like I don't just throw this on to wear around the house. I usually wear it to like go out shopping or go to dinner, or it hasn't been finished for that long, and I've worn it quite a few times going about and doing that kind of thing. So I just really want like a throw it on sweater, and that's what this is turning into. I am knitting significantly off gauge. The gauge for the pattern, I believe, is 19 stitches. I believe it's 19 stitches per. I'm really struggling with words today, guys. I apologize. Let me take a quick drink. All right. Gauge. I believe the gauge is supposed to be 19 stitches per inch. When I gauge swatched with the recommended needle size, which is 4.5 millimeters, I got 16 stitches per 4 inches. That's a pretty big difference. That's a huge difference. And so I dropped down half needle size and did 4mm needles, and then I got 20 stitches per 4 inches. And so I took the 2 gauge swatches into knit night at my local yarn store, and I asked the ladies, it was all ladies that night. We do have some men who come as well. Which gauge swatch they liked better, like which fabric they liked better. I was leaning towards the larger one, but I've never knit that off gauge to the point where like I knit a different size, and so I was a little like unsure about it. But everyone unanimously voted for the large one, and so that's what I did. So I'm knitting 16 stitches per 4 inches on 4.5mm needles, and I'm really happy with the fabric I'm getting. Like, it doesn't look see-through, and also it's a little bit marled due to the color differences in the yarn, but it's so lightweight. This will probably be like the lightest sweater I own besides the sorbet sweater, which was a blown tube kind of yarn. Yeah, really happy with the fabric this is creating. I think that 16 stitch gauge was definitely the right decision. And I'm just absolutely flying through this. I cast this on Thursday. It's Sunday. So we're cruising. I have, I think, 12 more raglan increase repeats, so 24 rows total. It's, rows 1 and 2 X amount of times or whatever. And I think I have 12 more 1 and 2 repeats to finish the yoke. Because I am off gauge, so I think my row gauge is off as well. Well, I mean, I know it is, but I haven't measured my row gauge because that's pretty easy to just stop and fix. So I think after like 6 more repeats, I will put it on barber cord and try it on to check yoke depth, because I do want like a deep oversized yoke, but I don't want it to be obnoxious. So we will do that. Here are the differences in the color. Hopefully you can see. I know the light's a little kind of flat and funny in front of the window probably. But so the flora is much darker, and then the alpaca is very like a light sage green kind of color. And the light sage green is really the dominant. The fluff really takes over and dampens the dark green, which I wasn't quite expecting. I thought it might marl a little bit more, but like, I'm not mad. I really am enjoying this. And also I think it'll be good to have green for once instead of blue. I'm going on a bit of a green kick here, I think. So that's my newest cast on that I'm quite enjoying. I am on a garment kick for sure. I like, the only thing I'm interested in knitting right now is garments. I have not touched socks in a long time. I have a sock project that I've been leaving in my car that I picked up once or twice and done 2 rows on here or there at like a doctor's office or something, but like, I just have no interest in currently knitting like small circumference. I still like socks. My sock mojo will come back, like I got Summerlee's new sock book. But I'm just not in a space right now where like that's what I'm drawn towards, and so we're just rolling with it. So we're in like major garment mode. Quick little talk about front porch sweater. I started this back in like July, I think, and I was flying through it and then got very distracted by everything I just showed you. I made little to no progress, so I won't talk much about this. She's gorgeous. We love her. This is also a drops yarn that has been in stash. Is this also Flora? Lima. Drops Lima in the color 9018, which I believe is Deep Sea Mix. So, and the reason why this one has been in purgatory, besides me getting distracted by other more exciting things, is I'm at the point in the pattern where I now have to decrease in the sleeves for the cables, and I just don't want to, because I just don't like when the decreases in a texture or colorwork pattern makes it look messy on the underside. And like, yes, nobody really sees it, but like, it bothers me. And so that's part of why I haven't made much progress on this. So I've done a couple rows on the sleeve, but that's literally about it. I really haven't touched it, so we're not going to drag on too much more about that. My only other whip really that I'm actively working on right now is I started a sweet shop blanket, which I'm really excited about. And this has been so much fun. So the minis for this are, I did my very first advent calendar this year, and it was Fangirl Fibers Little Mermaid. If you know anything about me, you know that I'm obsessed with all things mermaid. And so I just jumped at the chance. I've never bought anything Fangirl Fibers before, and I just saw Little Mermaid, and I just like blacked out and hit purchase. Like I needed no further information, basically. So, and then the Sweet Shop blanket is a pattern by Laura Penrose, which is ingenious. So brilliant. And like, if you are nervous about doing short rows, this is the fastest way to become like good at them. Like, it'll click, it'll make sense. It's also in garter stitch, so you're just knitting everything. It's so squashy and wonderful, and it's bite-sized. So if I am at like a funky spot in all my projects, like it's difficult or fussy, or I just don't want to, I can like pick up, knit one square on this. It's relatively mindless. I do it infrequently enough. I still need to like look at the pattern to remember where to pick up and all that. But once I've picked up stitches and I'm just doing the short rows, like it's so easy. And this is just going to be the cutest freaking blanket when I'm done. I'm so excited. So mostly the minis are from that advent calendar. I have a few other spare minis in my stash I've thrown in, as well as some previous sock scraps that I feel like would be really cute mixed in with the mix, and another way for me to use up those scraps. The white yarn is Cascade Heritage. It's all fingering weight that I'm holding double. And Cascade Heritage is just easily accessible, relatively affordable. So for this like blanket size pattern, I believe I bought it off of Webs, and then Webs gives you like a discount if you buy, like, spend X amount of money. So then I got like 25% off. And so that made it like kind of a nice deal to get a large quantity of that sock yarn for this blanket. Yeah, there's not much else. Oh, and I also got these super cute little stitch markers, the little mermaid tail and the seashell. And those are just on there really for decoration at this point. But that is my Sweet Shop blanket. It is one of my goals for 2026 to finish this. If there's 52 weeks in a year, if I knit like one square a week, that's pretty good. I actually knit all of these. This was my Christmas Day cast on. I have 4, so I have 6. And we're in the second week of February, so technically I'm up to date, even though I knit most of these in December. And I think I picked it up again in January, and I think I knit this initial block in December because I wanted to knit like each of them are knit a little bit differently, and I wanted to try them. And then I randomly picked up and knit this one day, and then this one. But I have not touched it yet in February. So I think once I get to a point in that green fluffy sweater, where maybe I just want a break to do something else. Maybe I'm getting bored with a stockinette. I don't see that happening. I'm definitely like in a stockinette mood currently. But this squishy garter stitch with something a little bit interesting could be very nice. Those are all of my active whips, guys. Like, that's it. I've really, really toned it down. I'm usually a very strongly multi-whipped person. My little ADHD brain, the more the merrier. I technically have 2 sock whips, but they are officially like abandoned and just hanging out in the background for when I feel like I have my sock mojo back. I have no shawls or scarves. I I have my tank top from last summer, my second sample, but like I haven't touched that since last summer, so I'm not gonna count that as a WIP. Yeah, that's everything. So I have a tiny bit of spinning to talk about. So if you're not interested, thank you so much for being here and for listening in. I am so obsessed with spinning. I am just having an absolute blast. I have a finished bobbin to show you. This is a gift from my friend Kai. Hello, Kai, if you're watching this. And this was, I asked for sock fiber. So I wanted like a superwash merino nylon blend so I could spin to knit my own pair of socks. And so the fiber is from Greenwood, Green something, Greenwood fiberworks. I'll find it and put it in the description, hopefully. So, and in these gorgeous mermaidy Rachel colors, nobody here is surprised. So I spun this super, super thin. Hopefully I'm going to try to hopefully you can see how thin that is. It's my default spin is very thin. So I don't find it difficult to spin thin. I find it much more challenging to spin, like intentionally spin thicker. So, but I'm going to chain ply this to get a 3-ply, and I'm going to do a strong twist to then get a sock yarn out of it, but I'm doing the chain ply to help keep the gradient nice and smooth throughout the sock. So I think that'll be really fun. I think the next pair of sock yarn that I make, I want to do a fractal. I want that like color shiftiness going on, but I'm really excited to have these pretty ombre-y blue turquoise hand spun hand knit socks. I will ply these once my wheel opens up. I'm currently working on my Jaunty spin to knit along. So this was one of my other, I haven't done a goals video, and we're kind of at the point in February now where I'm like, maybe we won't. Let me know if you'd want a goals, like 2026 knitting plans and goals video still at this point in the year. Anyways, is to spin with the intention of then knitting a specific garment. And so then after I like made those plans, Andrea Mowry and Delatus, I have no idea how to say it, Spinning Wheels, an e-spinner brand, came out with a spin to knit along starting at the end of December and running through till June. And so this was the perfect excuse to do a spin to knit along. It was for an accessory, not a garment, which I thought was a great place to start. Everything I've spun so far has just been for really the sake of spinning. That sock spin is the first time I've spun with the intention of like, I have something in mind for this. Everything else has just been for learning and for fun. So I have a little bump of the fiber here because it's attached to my wheel that's behind me. Gorgeous moody colors. This is hainui wool and silk. I splurged a little bit. I will try to put some pictures of all of the braids together up here. This is from Blue Savannah Fiber or Blue Savannah Dye Works. They are a local to me, like a couple hours away, but within the state of Idaho. Woman-owned hand dyeing business. She did a trunk show at my local yarn store, and I have never seen hainui wool anywhere. I've never seen it in yarn and fiber, so that was really exciting. And then it had hainui silk, so it was felt a little bougie. And so I bought that as a little birthday treat to myself. I bought 2 braids, and then the Jaunty spin along came out, and I was like, oh, perfect. I'll turn these into the Jaunty. And then I was like, but I want like an extra big one. Like looking through the samples that Andrea Mowry has, I wanted the like multiple wraps, big, fluffy, squishy, almost obnoxious kind of scarf shawl situation. So I bought a 3rd braid. I reached out to, I'm so sorry, I can't remember her name, but the owner of Blue Savannah. And because I looked online and I didn't see any other like hainui silk braids that were available. And so I messaged her, I was like, hey, do you have any? I don't see any online. Like, these are the braids I bought. I'm looking for something to go with them for a combo spin, yada, yada, yada. She was amazing. Fantastic customer service. So sweet. Promptly shipped it, had a sweet little handwritten note in it, and the colorway was perfect. So that is my Jaunty spin along. I will also put a picture of my current bobbin of the fiber I just showed you. And it's very moody. I'm really excited with how it's turning out. I started off trying to intentionally spin a little bit thicker because I want like a DK worsted weight yarn when I'm done. It's going to be a three ply. Um, and so I was aiming for that, but I really, really, really struggle spinning thicker consistently. It's really kind of comical. So I've ended up going a little bit thinner, and I'm just spinning at what feels natural for the fiber. I've stopped trying to control it. So the beginning of this bobbin is a little bit wonky, and because of that too, this bobbin might be a little short compared to the others, which will be unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then when I spin the other braids, same thing. I'm just gonna attempt to spin the same thickness, obviously, as I did for this one, but I'm just kind of letting the fiber tell me what it wants to be, and also like leaning into my natural like spin thin. So hopefully it's more of a sport DK still. I don't want a fingering weight. But I think too the hainui fluffs and blooms really nicely. So I think with a good wash and thwack, I will still hopefully be able to get like a nice DK weight with that three ply. And who knows, maybe I'm underestimating the fiber, and I could even with the blooming hit a worsted, and with the fisherman's rib pattern in the scarf, I feel like it's very forgiving to like thick and thin, and the squashy and the depth just kind of help. So even if it is a little bit DK, I might be able to get away with still a worsted kind of pattern while knitting that. So those are all of my major things to tell you guys about. I have some acquisitions like the book I mentioned. I have some serious fiber acquisition, guys. I went down the deep end and I bought hella fiber recently. But I don't want to go into all of that. I will save that maybe for another separate video that's just all spinning related. And yeah, so if you're still here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking around in my lapses in regular posting. And I hope you guys have a fabulous day.